Welcome to Ihs Tv. This is the first show of our brand new WRED program. Under the direction of the English Digital Media class taught by our own Mr. Reif and Mr. Cass, we keep you all up to date with new programming from students such as ourselves and even the Ithaca community as a whole.
That's right, Matthew. And today we'll be premiering a range of new segments. We'll be featuring interviews with members of the Ihs TV staff on a range of topics. First, we'll have Jacob Morcourt talking to Alex Wazansky on his sports and school balance. It's a winner. Next, we'll premiere Jesse's interview with the program director, Yella, on his love of fondue, among other of his unique aspects. Next, Christo DiNapoli interviews James Slusar, an aspiring actor from the morning announcements crew. It's a great piece.
And then after that, we'll have Mateo interviewing segment director Wyatt Flanders on his life goals and even his hopes and dreams for the country. And then after that, we'll switch the microphone and show you Wyatt interviewing Mateo on his love of Paraguay, and then also his experience so far in the United States. Finally, we'll be showing you my own piece on Billy Park, who's an aspiring thinker and technology activist within the Ihs TV community.
It's a packed show, so let's get to it. First up, we've got Jacob Morcourt's piece on Alex Wazansky. As a student athlete myself, I know how hard it can be to balance great performance on the field with strong performance in the classroom. Jacob brings us the story of how Alex does both and how he does it well. Let's take a look.
Ithaca High School is an institution of exemplary athletics and academics. Students seldom fall into the cliched role of jock or nerd, with athletes leading colorful and intellectual lives. One of these fascinating specimens is named Alex Wazansky. I have been observing him for some time, as he has made his home just down the hill from myself, in the picturesque woodland community of Ellis Hollow. Alex is a multi-talented athlete, competing in both the varsity hockey and golf teams. Outside of his athletics, he is a studious individual. Alex's father is a professor of chemistry at Cornell University, and Alex works with him as a lab assistant during the summer. However, despite all these commitments, Alex doesn't forget to have a good time on the side. He has a wide range of interests, including watching movies on Netflix, whipping around in his car, and eating apples. I wanted to learn more about Alex, so I decided to sit down with him and ask him a couple questions. So Alex, how do you like living out in Ellis Hollow?
I enjoy living in Ihs Tv quite a lot. I've lived there my entire life so far, and there's a lot of community activities you can do. We have the community center, the Ihs Tv pool, and it's just a fun time all around.
When did you start playing hockey, and what made you decide that that was a sport you wanted to do?
I don't know. I think I started playing hockey around 5 years old. I started skating when I was 4 because my parents were like, hey, you should start skating, this is going to be fun. And I just sort of enjoyed it, and it was, kept wanting to do it. And my parents got me some hockey gear, I started playing hockey, and ever since then I've really had fun playing it, and now I'm on the varsity team and having a lot of fun.
So what led you to decide to join the varsity golf team?
The golf team, well, my dad is a huge fan of golf. He watches it all the time on TV and he plays it a lot, so he got me into that when I was really little, and I had like a set of plastic clubs, and he would have, drag me around the golf course, goofing around. And I just kept playing, and that's sort of been a father-son thing that we've had going on for quite a while. And I really enjoy it, so I tried out for the varsity team, and hey, I made it. So just kind of have fun there and play a lot of golf.
Seems like you've got a lot going on. How do you balance your sports and your academics?
Oh boy, during hockey season especially, I have a lot of trouble balancing athletics in school. I've got a lot of homework. I usually end up staying up quite late, 1 o'clock or so, just to get everything done. Because I have practice every day after school. But I usually balance it pretty well. I can keep my grades pretty decent, and all it takes is late nights. That's pretty much it.
What do you like to do when you're not competing in athletics or doing your schoolwork?
I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of. That's pretty much all my time is sports and schoolwork. But I do end up watching a lot of Netflix, which I enjoy. Right now I'm currently into Bones, which is an awesome TV show. You should check it out. And I just kind of do whatever. If there's, some fun community stuff going on, I go to, the Apple Fest is coming up, I'll go to that. Yeah, that's about it. Any sort of community things that are going on, I generally go to.
So where do you see yourself in the future?
Oh boy, I don't know. I think I'm going to go to college for some sort of science major and something like that, and I don't know, just see where that takes me. Hopefully I can be successful in the future. Who knows? It's all pretty much open-ended.
Well, there you have it, folks. A truly fascinating young man. His stellar academic career and outstanding performance in athletics makes it obvious that this is no typical high school student. It's incredible that even with all the stresses of today and tomorrow, Alex can stay as calm and collected as he does. We could all learn something from Alex about how to do everything and how to have fun while doing it.
Athlete. What they do academically and athletically always impresses me. Moving on, though, from Ithaca Athletics to Ithaca Arts, let's go see what Yella has to say about his technological aspirations and also his passion for a certain liquid dairy product.
Who is Yella, and how do you pronounce his last name? You may have spotted this living enigma entrenched in the hallways of Ithaca High School, or after school in the tech wing with Code Red Robotics. I haven't known Yella for very long, but here are some basic facts about him. He is 17 years old, bespectacled, and 6'3". Yella was born in very close proximity to his mother in Utrecht, Holland. But who is Yella really? Yella is well known amongst his friends for being good-humored, interesting, and charmingly ineloquent. Within the club Code Red, he is infamous for his excellent organizing skills, especially with regard to the notorious Code Red closet. Yella is reliably the first person to enter his zero-period class and is a very diligent student. In the limited free time that he has, Yella enjoys programming and playing video games. However, he is also a world traveler. He has been to over 15 countries, including New Zealand and Argentina. He is planning on moving to Holland after his senior year in high school. I sat down in the Boy Wonder to chat about some of his passions. Tell me about your favorite activities. What do you like to do?
I really like to play video games during my free time or program. I really like playing Child of Light, which is a new watercolor-based game. All of the art is done entirely in watercolor, so it looks very hand-drawn and it's very pretty. I also like games like Minecraft or Skyrim, very sandbox and free range, do whatever you want, very self-driven games.
What is your favorite class right now?
I really like EDD because it's a very self-driven class. You get to choose a project that you really want to work on and then spend the rest of the year working on this project, contacting professionals, and actually, hopefully by the end of the year, you've actually created a product that is incredibly interesting to me.
So, do you want to be an engineer or a programmer?
That's exactly it. I want to be a programmer when I'm older. My dream job is actually working at an indie game developer company. Hopefully creating just a small game, just mostly for myself. The pay grade probably won't be very high.
I heard you travel a lot. What is the weirdest thing that you've encountered on your travels?
The weirdest thing. This one time I was in France. And of course, you know the stereotype of all French people are always smoking, carrying a baguette, and wearing a beret. Well, my entire 3-month experience in France, I met one person who was smoking, wearing a beret, and holding a baguette under their arm. He was a German man.
I've also heard that you're going to Holland after this year. Can you explain why?
I'm going to Holland after this year because I want to go to college there. Holland is a socialist country, and their education system is much better than the one here. Because the taxes are much higher, the colleges are much cheaper. So being able to go there, I can go to college, get a higher education without being thousands of dollars in debt.
What is the Code Red closet, and why do you clean it?
All right, the Code Red closet is the place where Code Red Robotics stores all of their supplies. Code Red Robotics is a massive robotics team where we use tons of resources every day, and this needs to be neatly stored in a small location. I organize it because I'm a little bit OCD in that way. I see the closet as being unorganized, and I really need to organize it. But I also find it really fun. It's kind of like playing like a 3D live version of Tetris, because the closet has to close at the end of the night, and everything has to fit.
And lastly, tell me about the best fondue that you've ever had.
The best fondue I've ever had. Again, when I was in France for a few months, there was this one fondue shop. I mean, its location was absolutely crazy. It was in like a dark alleyway off the side of Paris, and then you go into this like dark building, and you go downstairs into a like basement. But then, obviously this is France. These buildings are centuries old, so these basements are just like made of these massive stone blocks, and you can tell that they've been there for hundreds of years, and it's absolutely beautiful. So you sit down at these like really nice, like kind of like dimly lit tables with these really cool lamps over them. They start by bringing you a really big bowl of this kind of slightly stale bread, so it's a little bit crunchy, but it's still really good. And then they bring you this like large porcelain container filled with just the most delicious fondue. It's made of like all sorts of French cheeses, and you can just see like spices just floating around just in the top. It's so good.
I had fun chatting with Yella about his passions. From programming to traveling to cheese fondue, it's easy to see the love Yella has for what he does. His stories of Paris inspire me to get out into the world and explore, and his vivid descriptions of cheese fondue make me salivate. I wish Yella the best of luck in his future endeavors, from his dreams of producing video games to his college education in Holland.
Wow, Code Red and fondue? That's definitely a unique combination. Well, let's move on to the artistic side of IHS. Up next is Christo interviewing James Slusar on his theater plans and what he does in the performing arts.
I'd like to see that. Let's take a look.
The hallowed halls of Ithaca High School have been inhabited
this doesn't
by
have
this
a...
monster, and the horror will continue for the next 30 James Slusar, the man behind many, the not-so-blind fencing artist, and the butcherer of quadratic functions. For 3 years, the hallowed halls of Ithaca High School have been inhabited by this monster, and the horror will continue for the next 36 weeks as he makes his way to graduation day. Like any other student, James sits through the mundane task of school on a daily basis. Forensics, economics, and gym are but a few of the classes he attends. Outside of the classroom, James partakes in the art of fencing, amongst other things, but nothing quite compares to his abilities in the game Trouble in Terrorist Town. This game of backstabbing your allies without getting caught puts other users to a rigorous test, as he lays waste to each one in a timely fashion. However, the most important aspect to Mr. Slusar is his affinity to acting. Last year, James played a very important role in the school's play, Rumors. This year, he reclaims the stage in the Ithaca High School production of Welcome to the Monkey House. I caught James during one of his few free periods to delve a little deeper into what it takes to be an actor.
So James, how long have you been acting?
I've been acting since I was a kid. I've done many different shows. We had a theater company that let like small children do their own productions, and that was fun actually. I got all the villain roles. I mean, I don't know why, but I did. But it was fun nonetheless. Then we started doing like other theater companies that allowed small children to participate. We did like The King and I when I was a kid. That was fun. And then I moved up here, and then I just did everything school-related show, and I've done some good parts, so I can't complain.
Are you excited to start rehearsing for this year's play?
Yes, I am. We actually did start rehearsing. Our first rehearsal was interesting, but nonetheless, it was quite nice. It should be a fantastic play. My part is quite interesting. It's going to be a good year. It's going to be a good year for theater.
How many opponents have fallen to your mighty fencing sword, and is there a correct name for said sword?
Absolutely none have fallen to my mighty sword. That's because I'm too inexperienced to actually fence somebody. But you know, that's okay. And the correct term for said fencing sword is called a foil.
Are you the most traitorous traitor in Terrorist Town?
Well, absolutely, Mr. Cristo Di Napoli. I mean, my presence in a server just lets little children cower in fear. Like, when I become a terrorist, they instantly have a switch that goes to the right, and they're just like, oh no, we have to RDM him because he's just that good. So obviously, I am the best terrorist in Trader Town.
So James, this is your senior year. Have you been able to catch up on lost sleep from the past 3 years?
Yes, I have a lot of free periods, so let me tell you something. It's good for homework and darn sure a lot of sleep. I mean, since I don't have a lot of homework, I just could be like, oh, I'm tired. Let's just go to sleep. I mean, I get fantastic sleep. Darn sure good sleep.
Will there be a college graced by your presence?
Well, Christo, I certainly hope so. Because let me tell you, college applications are hard, man. But I am confident that there is a college that will be graced by said presence.
James Slusar.
Wow, I didn't know James did all that. Additionally, he's also on the team that does the morning announcements.
I think it turns out a lot of the English digital media students have some pretty cool extracurriculars and dreams. Speaking of which, now it's time for your own segment director, Wyatt Flanders, to tell Mateo what his plans for future world order are.
Really? I definitely want to see this.
What I know from Wyatt Flanders is that he is in Ithaca High School. He has swag and likes to travel and try new things. He likes technology and has really deep thoughts about life. He has a really good imagination. I look on Facebook to find out who he really is. The information that I get is a little dispersed, so I decided to interview him in person. Tell me, Wyatt, if you have one wish, and you have to decide between the universal peace and a lot of money, what will you choose?
Well, if I'm going for personal gain, which who isn't, I would actually have to say world peace because, well, unless nobody knew that I got them world peace, you know, if I just said, oh, I want world peace, and then boom, there's world peace, like nobody would know that I was responsible for that. But like, if there was like an alien spaceship coming and I like jumped in the sky and like punched the alien and like destroyed the mothership, then I would want everyone. Then I would definitely want world peace because then everyone would like owe me for life. Like I could get whatever I wanted, like more than what money could buy. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a plan. That's a good plan. So if you can travel in time, go back anywhere and anytime, where you will go and what you do and what you are to do there?
If I were to go back in time, I would probably go to. I would like take a camera back, and then I would like fight T-Rexes, and then I would like sell the footage to like a news agency so that people would like me because I'm totally cool, but nobody realizes that. So like I want people to know that I'm cool. So if I like fight T-Rexes, then everyone will think I'm cool.
That's a good. So, what's the best superpower?
The best superpower? X-ray vision. I hope I don't have to explain that.
If you can meet any person alive, who you will meet?
I would try to. I would want to meet Matt Damon, and I would try to convince him to kiss me. Thanks. No problem, Mateo. Anytime.
And it was scary to go that far in his head. He has really good intentions but never stopped thinking himself. He's creative and he seems to understand his achievement.
Well, I think we can all agree that Wyatt's plans for the United States may have some interesting results. Moving on, let's go see what Mateo thinks of Paraguay.
Ooh, Paraguay. I've never been there. Let's check it out.
He speaks English very well and is improving by the minute. He's only here for a year, but is excited about living in the U.S. Today, we're going to get to know him a little better, and we're going to talk about his life back home and now in the U.S. Mateo, I was just wanted to ask you a few questions today. So you're an exchange student, right?
Yes, I'm an exchange
with
student.
the Rotary Exchange Program?
For the Rotary Club
Oh,
program.
that's very good. Cool. How long have you been in the U.S.?
I have been here 4 weeks.
Ah, cool. So you're living with a host family?
Yes, I had one host father, one host mother, and all his son and daughters are now grown-ups, but I live with a son of a friend of the family, so
okay.
it's always fun.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So, can you tell me about your family back in Paraguay? Do you Skype them?
I Skype once per week, and we in total is 6, 2 brothers, my father, my mother, and 2 sisters. And something I miss is that always in the weekends we go to a family meeting, and we are like 30 people.
Oh, wow, that's really fun.
In a really small room. No, but it's always fun because we had barbecue or milanesa. I don't know how to say milanesa in English, or spaghetti. It's always.
Oh, that's really nice. That's nice. Forgive my ignorance, but I don't know a lot about Paraguay. Can you tell me?
Yes, Paraguay is in South America, in the central part of South America. The neighbors of Paraguay, Brazil, Argentina, and Bolivia. We have hot almost the whole year. We share one of the biggest hydroelectrics of the world with Brazil. The river Paraguay divide Paraguay in 2 parts. That's gonna all.
Okay, can you tell me about the culture?
The culture of Paraguay is most of nothing determined by the Jesuits people that they came on the colonial time when Paraguay wasn't independent yet, and they teach the people how to read, how to learn, how to calculate, and they teach us a culture that the Guarani people that are the native people of the Paraguay have, that share, that nothing is really necessary for living. So in Paraguay they are really give people. You ask them, yes, take, and it's really nice. And also, yes, and also they implemented tereré. That is a drink. You drink it cold or hot, almost always cold, with your friends, and it's really cool because when you are drinking tereré, you are talking, you are in a round, and it's really funny.
That's nice. And how different is it coming to the U.S. and Ithaca? Is there kind of a culture shock?
The culture shock is not that much because here the people are really nice. If you ask something, they most of the time they help you. But the most difficult thing is that here the idea of the work in Paraguay, at least with my friends, they tell you something, an hour, can't wait, and here you have to do it. Like they count the minutes, but that's good.
Okay. Alright, thank you. Oh, sorry, can you tell me about what you like to do in Ithaca?
What I like to do in Ithaca is I would like to hike in all the Falls they have here. There are a lot. I hiked in one, and it was really good. And I would like to do it more.
So you like rock climbing and outdoors?
Yes, it was really.
Okay, all right, I like that. All right, thanks for
Thanks.
talking to me today.
Thanks to you.
A boy from Paraguay with one dream: to save his homeland, and only he can save it. The government is corrupt, the economy is in shambles. After his exchange, he will have the skills to lead his country. He knows what he needs to change, and he is the leader that will make Paraguay the great nation it should be. Mateo understands the rich culture and the importance of family in Paraguay. Let's help him achieve his dream and send him home with perspective he needs to give his country what it needs.
It sounds like a great place. You know, Matthew, we've got another EDM student who's just come to the U.S.
Really? Who is it?
Matthew, you should know. It's your own interview with Billy Park.
Ah, that's right. I wonder how that turned out, actually. Let's see. Who Billy Park is. He's an energetic, technology-loving, modern kid. He hates anything involving writing and reading, and would love to spend the day playing Team Fortress 2, StarCraft, or maybe even League of Legends. Anything except his clarinet. Although he loves technology, he hates anything related to Apple or any products made in China. He often takes his own spin on assignments, such as his digital media projects, and he adds in his own sound effects. He came to ICSD in 9th grade and has enjoyed his time here in Ithaca. Let's ask Billy what an average day looks like for him and how he does it all. First of all, Billy, what brought you to Ithaca? What's your story?
Okay, what brought me to Ithaca? That's a good question. So I attended an international elementary school, international middle school, international high school. Well, I attended up to international middle school in Korea, and I came here. But the reason why I came here is because my sister got accepted to Cornell with full scholarship. So my mom wanted to give me the same level of education, and she wants me to go to Cornell. And she heard that Ithaca High School has a very high acceptance rate to Cornell compared to other high school. And since I have an American citizenship, I can't go to Korean schools anyway. So that's why I decided to come here.
Wow, that's a cool story. So how do you like Ithaca so far?
So how do I like Ithaca so far? Well, when I first came, I really didn't like this place because, well, first of all, Korea has the fastest internet in the world, and but this place doesn't. Well, America doesn't have fast internet to begin with, and since I'm from Korea, which is always crowded, vibrant, and always full of people 24/7, but Ithaca is a very quiet, calm, safe place. And I didn't like it at first, but now since I've been here for 3.5 years, I'm kind of used to it, and I've gotten too used to it that I really like it here because I've read an article that said Ithaca is the second least likely city to where you're going to be mugged in, and I really like the people here as well.
Well, that's cool to know. Within IHS, what does a typical day look like to you? What do you do for first period? What do you do throughout the day? What do you do during lunch period? What do you do when you go home?
A typical day, first of all, I'm a computer geek. I like to read about them. I like to actually handle computer parts, and I've experienced assembling them myself. And so what I do when I get back home is, first of all, I want to buy a compact gaming PC right now. So what I do every day is I go online and check if any new parts for it came out, or if there's any other way for me to get it cheaper. And if I don't do that after school, what I do is, since when I was young, I my dad always told me that I can never do what I want to do until I finish my homework. So even before I look at computer parts, what I do is I come home and I do my homework first. After homework, I usually get on my computer. Well, that's the only thing that you can do at home since I don't like TV. And when I get on my computer, I chat with my friends in Korea because due to time difference, 13 hours time difference, I can't talk to them when I'm awake at regular time. And other than that, on a Friday or a day when I have no homework, or on a weekend, I will play games on my laptop.
What a schedule. Well, Billy, now that you're a senior, what do you think is the #1 piece of advice that every incoming freshman should know?
As a senior, to incoming freshmen, as a senior, I would like to advise them to enjoy life as much as they can in freshman year, because life is going to get really tough when you hit junior. Because junior is the year when you have to research college, take your SAT/ACT, and you have to write your college admission letter. You have to keep up your good GPA, and you really don't want to get in trouble in your junior year, because when you apply to colleges, they're going to look at your junior year most carefully. And I also wanted to advise you to make a lot of friends, obviously.
That's great advice. Now, Billy, when you're not at home or you're not at school, where do you and your friends go for fun?
Okay, so when I'm not at school or at home, what do I do? That's a very easy question, because in Ithaca, there really is nothing to do except, well, the only good places to go is the Ithaca Mall, where the only movie theater is, which is the only recreational entertainment place in Ithaca. So when I'm not, and YMCA, which is right next to it. So when I'm not at school or when I'm not at home, the only thing I can do is go to YMCA and hang out with friends, or go to Regal Cinema and watch movies. Because one of my hobbies is to watch movie theater, and personally I like movie theater popcorns, and I find them really delicious. That's one of the reasons why I go to movie theaters.
That sounds great. It seems you have such a strong tie to technology. Do you have any recommendations for the best brand or the worst brand to buy?
So my favorite brand to buy from, that would be, I recently bought a laptop. So till like a year ago, I used to have a MacBook Pro, because the previous school that I went to required every student to have his or her own laptop, and they made us buy MacBook Pros, which are really overpriced. Well, all Apple products are overpriced, and that's one of the reasons why I really don't like Apple. And now my favorite brand, well, it used to be Samsung, but now since I know more about computers and stuff, I recently bought a laptop from Lenovo. And I feel I've been using it for like 6 months, and I'm really happy with it. I think Lenovo has the best performance for its price. And the worst brand, as I said, is Apple. It's really not that great, but it's really overpriced.
Well, I think our viewers will all be very grateful for that advice. It's obvious you have a lot to say, Billy, and you always have something on your mind. Finally, Billy, our question is, what makes you unique or different from the other students? How do you stand out?
So what makes me unique or different from other people are, first of all, when I came to the United States, I noticed that everyone had an iPhone or an iPad or an iPod, whatever. But I never owned an iPod, iPhone, or an iPad. And for all my life, I used an Android phone, Android tablet. So that's one thing that differs me from other students. And one other thing is that as I said, I'm a computer geek, and I find that really difficult, because none of my only one or two of my friends are like me, who actually knows what I'm talking about when I talk about graphics card or CPUs, processors, or motherboards or computers. So it's really hard for me to find conversation with people who are not computer geeks. And something else that differs me from other people are that what I hear from a lot of people when I talk to them is that I'm annoying. Well, that can be bad or good. Bad mostly, but that's when what good is is that I never stop talking, which means I'm very optimistic, and I never get depressed for more than 5 seconds. I think that's the reason why I stand out. Done.
So as we have seen, Billy is a really cool kid. He's got a lot to say and always has a positive outlook on life. He came here from Korea to go to Cornell and enjoys his new life here. He has busy, fun-filled days here at IHS and goes to the movie theater often with his friends. If you ever need a tech recommendation, he's the one to ask. He is a unique, outgoing student who has big dreams for the future. Wow, I think that was the best one of them all.
Well, there might be some personal bias in there.
No, not at all. Anyways, next up, we have the season premiere of Inside ICSD with Dr. Brown. This first episode features Dr. Brown interviewing Principal Trumbull and also the curriculum administrator, Mr. Landau.
Our very own Rishi Verma helmed this episode of Inside ICSD with Dr. Brown. Let's take a look.
Hello, and welcome to Inside ICSD with Dr. Brown, a show with Superintendent Lavelle Brown that takes a look inside the Ithaca City School District. I'm Rishi Verma, a senior at Ithaca High School, and our show is produced by my fellow English and digital media classmates at Ithaca High School. I'm joined today by Dr. Brown, Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you. We're looking forward to having a series of these conversations throughout the year. Today, we have some special guests, Mr. Trumbull and Dr. Matt Landau. And we want to spend some time talking about the shifts that have occurred at the central and building level as far as administrators. With Mr. Trumbull, I want to thank you for what you've done for the organization for many, many years now. How many years have you been working in the ICSD?
I've been with the district for 23 years, Dr. Brown.
23 years, and you've done everything from being a teacher to an assistant principal, a central office administrator, and now Mr. Trumbull is holding the title of Chief Administration Officer. And in that role, when he starts that role, he will be in charge of all things transportation, maintenance, building, facilities, and student code of conduct and issues. So a really large role for us as the work has evolved centrally, and we need a great person to lead that. But in the immediate future, he's going to be the principal here at Ithaca High School, and we're excited about that role. We're going to talk some about that today. Great. To my far right, Dr. Matt Landau, who joined us from Virginia not long ago, having been a great teacher and an administrator, assistant principal and a principal there. He came into our organization as a chief elementary officer. And I think it's widely known that what's happened at the elementary level over the past couple of years under his leadership has been remarkable, from professional development to curriculum development to achievement for our young people. And now Dr. Landau is going to be moving into a role we call the chief academic officer. And so not only will he be leading our efforts at the elementary level, he'll be leading our efforts from pre-K through 12. So vertical alignment, horizontal alignment, and continuous work on implementing the Common Core standards, developing great assessments, providing outstanding professional development. So our Chief Administration Officer and our Chief Academic Officer, and also the current principal at Ithaca High School right now. Those are the most significant shifts we've made to administration here in some time, and we're excited about these outstanding educators taking on that challenge.
So Dr. Landau, you've been working with younger students and earlier education curriculum. How do you think that experience will help you develop curriculum at the high school level?
That's a great question. I think, honestly, the work over the last few years has been somewhat relationship-based, getting to know the principals in the building, getting to know the needs of the schools, getting to know teachers and teacher leaders, and then trying to support them with resources and time to get the work done that they need to do. So I think the same thing will happen at the secondary level, both at the middle school level and at the high schools. I will be going around to talk with secondary principals and talk with teacher leaders in all the schools and find out what needs there are, what support that they need, and we'll start developing some plans to move the work forward. So I think I can take what we did at the elementary level and not necessarily expand it in terms of the exact things done in the classroom. Obviously there's huge differences between elementary and secondary, but the process is similar. It's getting to know people, finding out how they need to be supported, and then developing a plan to try to do that.
Mr. Trumbull, what excites you about, well, let's start with the high school role. What excites you about moving into the leadership role at Ithaca High School?
The initial excitement came when we spoke to the staff, and the warm welcome that I received from the staff, because many of the staff have been longtime colleagues of mine. So to look out into the staff, and Dr. Landau brought up the issue of relation. I've got a great relationship with much of the staff, and I've certainly honed and developed that with our newer staff as well. So that was the initial startup. And then came the students, which for me is a very natural, strength-based approach in terms of getting to know kids that I have. I already know half the students from Boynton Middle School in my time as principal there. So as I had many students come up and give me bear hugs and pick me up and say, you've come back for my senior year, that was something that I didn't expect, and it's been very accommodating and welcoming. And I said this to other folks that I haven't really walked this tall and felt this excited in some time, Dr. Brown. So it's been a homecoming of sorts, and I look forward to the work.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
What about the new role when you transition from it? And again, Mr. Trumbull will be coming back into the central office, hopefully late spring, early summer. And what excites you about the new role you're going to be coming back into?
Yeah, I think when you talk about building and district safety, when you talk about transportation, you talk about athletics, fine and performing arts, all those things on the operational side of the district, those are things that I've placed strong emphasis on in terms of helping educate students, making sure that folks have the resources around them, that we have strong learning climates, and I've long said to our bus drivers, sometimes they are the first and last faces of the children that they see, and they can really set the tone and really conclude with a great day. So I look forward to that work and continuing to build my relationships with folks on the operations end of the school district, which are critical to student success and family relationships. So I'm pretty excited about that. So it'll be a little bit of a struggle to keep me out of that role while I'm at the high school.
I understand. I'll help you with that one.
Yeah, thanks.
So Mr. Trumbull,
yes.
You're known for being a really strong sports coach. How do you think that leadership role is now going to translate to you being principal of the high school?
I use a coaching lens for everything, Rishi, and I told the staff that on that first day. Whether I've been a teacher, as Dr. Brown said, vice principal, principal, I've always used that coaching lens. I think it's a strength-based approach. It's one where I get to know folks around me, kind of set a common mission, where we want to go. So whether you're coaching a team of 90 boys looking for the Stacker Sectional Championship, or you're trying to coach a staff of over 100 to make sure that we've got inclusive and high standards for our practice, I see those as one and the same. So I really enjoy every morning I've started here at the high school. I do a round, and I try to shake as many hands as I can and give folks high fives, that's staff and students included, because my hope is I'm trying to coach folks up for that day and make sure that we're really positive teachers, positive principal, positive folks around students, results in positive students and a positive learning environment.
So Dr. Landau, already folks are seeing Mr. Trumbull's style and seeing what he's looking to bring to Ithaca High School and will be bringing to his new role. What should folks in the community, students, be looking to see from you in your new role? Some key initiatives, some key work that you may start in the near future?
Well, first, hopefully they see me in all of the buildings. I try to be out in the elementary schools as much as possible under my previous role, and so I'll expand into the secondary schools, so I want to be in the buildings a lot. There's several large projects that we're working on rolling out. One is the Special Education Improvement Plan. We created an advisory committee of community members, teachers, parents, and other staff, and we actually had our first meeting last night where we started looking at the current plan and talking about changes we want to make to the revised version of the plan for this year. We have, you mentioned earlier in the show, Common Core shifts. Those are happening now, pre-K through 12, and so we want to support teachers and principals in their work to do those shifts well. And then integrating learning technologies into our everyday practice. We're looking to expand that, if possible, this year and going into next year for sure, with looking at using a Google Chromebook model for a lot of our students in grades 4 through 12. It may not happen all at once, but we're looking to do that really well, and to put that mobile technology into student hands so they can really start accessing information and apps and all the great things that come with that 24/7. So we're excited about several of those initiatives, and there's also curriculum work at the elementary level will continue. Some great middle school curriculum work happened this summer, and we look to try to continue that as well. And again, the last part is looking at, we had to cut way back on the professional development budget for this year. But going into next year, we really want to be able to put some funds back in that and really be strategic about how we do PD in the future to support our teachers and our paraprofessionals. So we have a lot of things, a lot of initiatives that we're all very excited about.
Exciting, exciting. Thanks to my co-host, and thank you to our wonderful guest today, Dr. Landau and Mr. Trumbull. And be sure to send your comments and suggestions to our show via email, ihswred@gmail.com, and continue the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag InsideICSD. Thank you so much.
Anyways, as you can see, the students in the English Digital Media class have put together some great pieces.
Indeed they have. But Amy, we have more than 11 students in that class, right?
Of course, but that's all the time we have for today. You'll be seeing us again soon, and we'll be bringing you more pieces made by our very own students.
Indeed we will. So stay tuned, Ithaca, and keep making history. Bye.